2 in the women's sup. Also, Team Spain in contention for the women's prone along with Team Japan. And here's our course. It started on the right-hand side in that little lagoon, all right? There's the start of the race. They go under the bridge. They round the buoy on the outside, left, around Fiji Rock, around the harbor. So right now, they are probably, I'm guessing, in this area. Well, you can't see, but, you know, they're heading back towards the far right-hand bridge. They're probably about a kilometer away from there. They'll go under the bridge, another lap in the lagoon, back out to the ocean at La Ocho, and when they hit Fiji Rock, they'll make a left-hand turn for the finish. And right now, it's 1 hour and 10 minutes for our women on the prone race, and we're hitting the 1 hour mark right now for the women's sup.
On the dot, 1 hour for women's sup, 1 hour 10 for the women's prone race. And let's take a look at the rules heading into the long distance race here.
Yeah, this is an 18-kilometer. This is the marathon. It goes around San Juan Island. This will take the leaders around probably an hour 40 to finish this race, you know. Prone paddleboarders, stand-up paddleboarders, you know, in this race. And there's a 10-minute start from the prone to the sup, but we've already seen all the women kind of intermix. And there's our Spanish team right now with Duna and Esperanza leading their trek back towards the bridge and get back into the lagoon for their final trek.
Some incredible paddling going on, as we can see the women heading towards the lagoon now.
And these women, they've been side by side since the start of the race. And they're teammates, they train together, they work together. So obviously their cadence, and they put out a great game plan at leading this race from the start, and they haven't even looked back. So trying to pan around to see where our next group is. There's a pack of 4 for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th behind them. But they're a couple of 100 meters behind our lead group.
That's right. And I think from where we're seeing them with that dock in front, they're just coming around the front of the marina. So they're now going to be entering into a slipway. Cano de San Antonio, this canal that's going to stretch them through to the back into the lagoon. So they're coming into a little bit more of a narrow section where right now it's wide open, looking back towards the mainland. You can see the harbor there with all of the huge ships. And we can see that our surfer from Spain, Esperanza, is currently in the lead.
Yeah, with Duna right behind her. So maybe this is the breakaway. Okay, we worked as a team here. She's got about a 2-board lane lead right now. And we'll keep a good eye on them. There they go. Actually, that looks like Duna in the lead and Esperanza out in the back. So Duna has the lead. She's on that NSP board. Esperanza in second place. And still, Japan and Spain are side by side, stroke for stroke, about 6 miles into this race.
Duna, the 19-year-old, heading it up, the younger of the competitors coming out of Team Spain. Esperanza, 38 years old, 2-time world champion, and just has been loving training and really enjoying life leading up to this year's World Championships. Lives in the Gran Canary Islands.
Yeah, the Canary Islands will be a stop for the APP World Tour at the end of this month. And there's Duna right now. So she is broken away, a couple of board lengths ahead. You can see that dugout board. Really good for these distance, but it does seem to rock and roll. This is Duna Grillo in the lead. Esperanza out is in second place right now. So she's starting to wind it up. I would say maybe a 3-4 board length on Esperanza right now. And Esperanza, defending gold medal champion.
Sitting in that silver place position at the moment, and we've just received word from the boats that all paddlers have passed El Morro, which is the castle on the end of the point, and they are now headed into the bay.
Yeah, we have that offshore wind. It's coming from the south. We haven't seen a south wind all week during the competition. We've had some northeasterly trade winds, but we're seeing a southerly flow here today. So this will be a little side wind, but the wind's not playing a factor. It's so light. And Duna now making some headway. She's breaking away from Esperanza. Panning back across. They've got a good portion lead over that second pack.
Now, back in 2019 in El Salvador, Esperanza missed a buoy in the race, which led a lot of paddlers behind her in both divisions, prone and stand-up, to miss that buoy as well because they just picked their line behind her and they continued to follow. Each of them, every single paddler that missed that buoy, had to do an extra lap in the course, and Esperanza still won the gold medal, lapping the bottom half of the course. That is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, right now, Duna's got her. Here's that second pack with Jen Kalmbach, April Zilg. I believe Melanie's up in that. Team France, hang on here. Yeah, Melanie Lafontaine. And now that pack of 4 has turned into a pack of 3. One has pulled back. We can't make out who that is right now. There's a prone paddler in that group too. 1 hour, 5 minutes in for the stand-up women, and 1 hour, 16 minutes for the prone division.
And because of that south wind, we're going to see these paddlers hug the right side of the channel.
Now we're back at La Ocho looking at the flags. You can see that southerly wind starting to pick up.
Some little waves rolling through as we take a look at some more events coming up for the end of the year. Of course, right now we are in the ISA World Stand-Up Paddle and Paddleboard Championships. And the last event on the calendar for 2022 will be the Pismo Beach ISA World Para Surfing Championships hosted by Amp Surf. That'll be happening in Pismo Beach in early December.
Yeah, Dana Cummings of Amp Surf. He's just a jewel of the adaptive surfing world. Glad that he's hosting again. He wanted to give the surfers another venue other than La Jolla, where it was for the first 4 or 5 years. And Pismo Beach has been a great host. Dana Cummings doing a great job, and we'll see them in December, just a month away.
Very excited. Now you can see the paddlers have entered into the canal. Now this is a much narrower strip. It even looks like that wind has backed off, where they're in the bay at the start. You know, as they come around the headland from El Morro, they enter into the bay. There's a lot of wind, a lot of turbulence happening there. Not crazy choppy, but just enough to really shake up the conditions. And as they've entered into this straightaway through the canal, heading towards the Laguna again, currently in the San Antonio Canal, that is a great section to race through and to really get some space from the rest of the competitors.
So it looks like our leaders are the prone on the left, and our Spaniards with Duna, and also for Esperanza on the right. All right, let's throw it down to the boat and check in with Drew.
And we'll check in with Drew
thanks,
now
guys,
out on the
here
boat.
on the boat right now on the south side of the channel, as we see the wind's really kind of pushing across the channel, so you're seeing everybody hug the southeasterly side, and there are our leaders right behind us. Esperanza and Dina Gordillo, both from Spain, have been working very, very well together. Right now, you see Esperanza on the draft, so they're really working well. You'll see Esperanza on their fin box, really getting pulled along here, and then she'll jump in front and pull her teammate along. So these two, the way they've been working together, are going to be a tough one to catch, as the rest of the field really pushing back as far. Now, you hear a lot of communicating from them as well, trying to talk about cadence. If you take a look at their stroke cadence right now, you see Dina out in front, almost about a half stroke in front of her fellow countrymen. Now you'll see Esperanza start to push across here in just a little bit. In the prone category, it's Japan and Spain working side by side, really working together on the side drafts. So they're just pushing just in front of these two. But we got Judith Vargas and Erika Aribi. Both of them are kind of side by side, switching positions, really working together really nice and well. But we're about 2/3 of the way through this contest, and conditions on the outside were very favorable for our paddlers coming down through the western side. Nice big rolling bumps, so actually took no time whatsoever getting down to the fort area down here. As they go through the channel, we'll be following along, but we'll throw it back to you. But there's your lineup.
Thanks so much, Drew, for that update. You can see Team Spain leading not only in the sub, but also in the prone, also working with our Japanese competitor, Eureka. So right now, Esperanza has a short lead. We saw a breakaway from Duna, but Duna said, you know what? Esperanza's, holding her own ground, and she's the defending gold medalist.
Yeah, speaking of Japan, I was just out with the Inoue family. Taka got the copper medal in SUP surf yesterday. And his younger sister, Kaide, has been competing. Now they have their youngest sister, Sakura, in this competition. And they were asking me, is this where the race finishes? So they're going to be the first ones to welcome in Team Japan here on the finish line.
And, of course, Team Japan with Shrimpy. He was the gold medalist in the technical race, and he will not be doing the distance race. They have another paddler coming up in the men's distance race coming up in about 2.5 hours.
So this answers a very important question that I was asking. How do I get my car from Florida over to here when I move here? And it's going to be on that ferry, I believe. I am in love with this place. It's been magical every day. It's definitely been the best event that I've had all year. And that says something when you go and you change your ticket to make sure that you spend the same amount of time that you've already been here. So I'll be here for another 10 days.
Amazing. So you can see our lead group. They're just behind that low-rise building. There they go. That's our Spanish team, Esperanza and Dina.
So, Bo, if you think of like designing a SUP video game, like the ones where they put the fake scenes and the fake cities and everything else, this seems like it would be a video game with all of the things you pass by, castles, ships, all of these things. It's the coolest backdrop, the best venue I've ever seen for long-distance racing.
Yeah, and this view right here looks like the women are passing a moving ship. Looks like that ship was moving, but it's actually docked right there on the harbor. You can see the lead boat.
If it was, they'd be winning. So this is a very, very close. This is first and second?
Yeah, this is first and second, and trying to make out our woman who is on the prone. Can't get that information right now, but we're 1 hour, 11 minutes, 50 seconds into the women's stand-up, and 10 minutes earlier, 1 hour, 22 for the women's prone.
So, Bo, please keep me up on the action. The last time I stepped out of the booth, we had the two Spanish surfers, Esperanza Barreras and Duna Gordillo, in the lead. Is that still them?
Still them.
Right.
That's the lead group in. And now we had a pack of 4 behind them, but 3 of them has separated because 2 of them will make the podium for 3rd, 4th, 5th. There's a group back behind them.
So on an occasion like this, Bo, would you expect, since they are both team riders, they can kind of say, hey, how's your batteries doing? You want to get behind me? Let me kind of... you can draft behind me, save a little bit of energy. Once you get charged up, I'll draft behind you. So they're kind of helping sustain each other, I think.
Yeah, I think that was their game plan from the start. And then when they broke away, they held together. The French team also were working together. Amandine Chazot and Melanie Lafayette. As here we go, we can see Esperanza in the lead on the starboard, the NSP board. That is Duna.
So nice even cadence between the two of them. And number 2, it kind of seems like, she's drafting, of course, but if you look at the strokes, they are in perfect rhythm with each other.
Yeah.
And so they're using the same exact amount of energy, although the one drafting is going to save a bit.
Yeah. So can Esperanza go back-to-back? She was the gold medal winner down in El Salvador. How was the distance race set up in El Salvador?
So El Salvador was really cool. It went out from the ocean. We used the same venue as the surf, although they went way to the outside, spun around. I'm trying to kind of visualize that course again. There's been a lot of events since then, but that was also another event where she was a super strong competitor, and she is defending champion, if I'm not mistaken.
2019 gold medal winner Amadine Chazot took the silver, the bronze. Rika from Japan.
So I see the Team Italy flag on the prone. So we have the Italian flag. Who is our surfer for Italy and prone? That is Cornelia Rigatti. She's number 196. We can't see the number, but you can occasionally from this lateral view, you can see the flag, the country's flag there with the ISA sticker. So that helps us kind of get an idea, as long as we don't have too many competitors from the same country.
She's got a good cadence. See how she's rocking that board left to right with her paddle. Now she'll get on her knees. This is kind of a sprint paddle.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, coming from a history of about 30 years of riding longboard surfboards, a lot of the classic guys go to the knee paddle, and then there's other people that stick to prone. I never knee paddle. And the thing is with the knee paddling, you're using completely different muscle groups. And with the knees, you can get those arms way deeper into the water. However, there is that high aerodynamic factor of being below the wind as you get closer to the surface of the water with the prone position.
Yeah, you're so right. You can get more of your arm in there for a good pull. And usually when you're on your knees, it helps you in the surf zone, too. You can actually surf the waves. So here we go. We're getting close to the bridge. From the start of the race, we can see our top prone paddlers, and we can see our top sup women out behind them. So they started 10 minutes after the prones, and we're going to possibly see them maybe come across the line. Okay, in this lead group right here that we're watching, that's Esperanza in first, and Duna Guerrillo in second place. And then in our prone division, we have Judith Vargas from Spain, paddling along with our Japanese competitor, Eureka Horibe.
All right, so they are making that round. So this is a good, what would you say, is it about a 4/5 away around the course?
No, they're on the tail end. I would say 4/5, totally.
Okay.
So we're looking here, trying to make out, they're side by side. It's possibly our Japanese competitor on the right, our Spanish competitor on the left. Can't really make it out right now, but when they get closer, we can identify them. But they've been side by side, working off each other since the beginning of this race.
I love to see that little rhythmic reverberation coming off the boards. Every time that water gets displaced with every paddle as they put their weight into the board, it's just sending off these little mini wakes. And now you can see, I believe that's our Japanese competitor in that kneel position on the right side. And it's a semi-race, semi-draft kind of positioning right now, it seems like.
Well, our Spanish competitor right there, Judith, on the left, she's actually riding the wake of our Japanese competitors. There's a side draft.
Okay, cool. So I do a bit of wake surfing, and I know about how that's exactly the positioning you would be behind the boat to get that. It's amazing that these boards can create a wake that's big enough to glide on. But when you're dealing with 14-foot boards, they'll glide on absolutely.
Yeah.
anything.
Well, the prone boards, they're 12-foot boards.
Okay.
Yeah. And the stand-up boards, they're usually around 14 feet.
To me, when I ride a 9.6, that's super long, and anything above that is mega long. And even a longboard surfboard with a bunch of rocker can still ride about a 6-inch wave, and that's about a 2-inch wake that these things are gliding along. The other thing is you have a lot more volume to these boards. They're about, I'd say, a good 8 times thicker than a normal surfboard, a lot less width, but we also have that polystyrene core, which is a very, very buoyant core. It's just like your Igloo cooler box, and that is covered in fiberglass with an epoxy resin, and the buoyancy is just out of control. You could float about 2 or 3 people on one of these boards.
Yeah, we got report that is Cornelia in the prone division, in the third place division of prone, and we've got report that Liz Hunter from Team USA is in fourth place in the prones race. Here we go, Duna. Right behind Esperanza, the defending gold medal champion, working as a team. They're teammates. They're going under the bridge.
Wow, they're getting close.
Yeah.
So that right to the right of them is actually the headquarters of where they have the SUP and Kayak and Canoe Club. And so that is the base right there. And they are going to start working through these bridges. There's very low clearance through these bridges. And as we go through, it's one of my favorite parts. There's a broken bridge that's collapsed. And you're going to see that just ahead of them by about 30 meters. So as they cross along this next bridge, look at that. You can see the angle of that collapsed bridge. They're going to kind of have to navigate into that open spot because they won't have enough height to clear it.
No way. Collapsed bridge. Unbelievable. One of the older bridges there.
See that?
Yeah.
I go, this is where I would love to film a rap video or have a party when I went on my first walk to Condado Beach. So there we have our countries rooting on those people clearing their first lap, or clearing the lap. And that was a great distance. And they don't look that winded. These competitors are in tip-top shape. It's amazing. And they've been charging their batteries as their other teammates have been taking it on with the surf for the last 3 days.
That's Cornelia from Italy in the third place spot going underneath the bridge. As we pan around to see where some of our other athletes are. There they are. There's the pack of 4. So they've regenerated. We know Lina Agaitis is in there. We can see Jenny Combat. So that's Lina out in front. We got April Zilg in that pack. Looks like Lina's out in front leading this train. So this is 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th you're looking at right now.
Yeah, a little closer we'll be able to see those numbers.
Yeah. 2 of the women will medal. 2 will not. But valuable points for the teams.
So that looks like 13 in the front.
Yeah, that's Lina Agaitis. She's the gold medal winner from 2014. This is her specialty, is the distance.
That might be 8.2. Is that what I see scribbled on the second one? I think I see an 8. That might be April Zilg.
That's April. We can see April in second place as our French competitor, possibly Melanie Lafontaine, and that's Jenny Comback in the back. So there's your group. Lina in front, April in 4th, Melanie Lafontaine, France in 5th, and Jenny Comback in 6th.
Now this is just amazing, bumper to bumper.
Look, all on the same side. Cadence trying to keep up.
So what I'm trying to think now is, since they're all choosing for that right side of the board paddle, there could be some current pushing across, and they're trying to fight that current from drifting out of position through that bridge.
All right, there's Lina looking back at April. There's Melanie on the Fanatic board, the NSP, that's Jen Conbat. 404 for April. And the SIC board out in the lead with Lina Agaitis, the Sandwich Isle composite board from Maui.
Well, and you're seeing they're having to take that far right line to get the clearance under that collapsed bridge.
Now back to our lead group. This is both leaders in the prone out in front. Their time is 1 hour, 32 minutes and counting. And then behind them is our lead women group for the women stand-up. And those are the 2 Spanish paddlers.
So this is the Condado Lagoon. That's where they started. And beautiful, beautiful spot. That's a big spot for dog walkers, for joggers. It's the most beautiful spot here to kind of do your morning warm-up. And you can see why. Wow, taking a breath here.
This could be Liz Hunter. We're trying to make out the number.
So we'll keep our eyes out for the flags on the boards and the numbers. And as you said earlier, you got those camelbacks kind of blocking the numbers. It is very, very hard to tell. Here we go, coming through the Condado Lagoon. So that's the little road that you take out to Condado. That's where we went body surfing the other day, Bo.
Yeah, that was a real fun place to go.
At Playa La Concha. That is such a cool place. And we're actually able to order beers and food on the beach from the Sheraton Hotel. That is so cool. So here we go. That's still our first and second. Esperanza Barreras and Duna Gordillo for Team Spain. And we haven't seen them switch positions. So it really is, I guess, the stronger competitor helping the other competitor to keep the battery charged.
Well, it could come up to the sprint at the finish line for both these races right now.
And then we're not buddies anymore. We're competitors, right?
That's it.
Okay. And so I love this place. It is just amazing. Beautiful scenery, beautiful architecture. This is a little bit more kind of the tourist side of town here.
Yeah, you see the orange buoy right there? That was the start line, okay? So they did 1 full lap of San Juan Island.
And do we have a time? I mean, it's...
So we have 1 hour, 34 minutes for the prone, and 1 hour, 23 minutes for the stand-up.
What was our predicted time?
AV was saying about hour 45 for the women.
Okay, so we're pretty much right on it.
And you can see they're really hugging the right side of this lagoon.
Yeah, you know what? As we were driving in from the airport on that side that you can see with the road coming towards us, there's a small beach just to the left of the screen, and I could see little side waves. I go, wow, this almost looks like a skimboardable beach. So there is definitely water flow and currents that are pushing really close in through the middle of that lagoon. So they're going to try and stay on that still water that's kind of collected and held in place by all of that shrubbery on the right.
Beautiful shot from our ASP crew. Action Sports Production. Jay and the crew. This is the drone shot.
Yeah, these backdrops have been absolutely amazing. The weather's beautiful here, and it's a little cooler than the previous days, which is helping them to sustain their energy. It gets really, really sunny and hot here.
Yeah, the men are going to have to deal with that coming up with their race at 12 noon.
All right, so we are almost going to crown our first and second.
So as we see our leaders both in prone and in stand-up, let's check in with Drew on the boat.
Well, as you can see, as we go under the bridges here, all of the fans are up top, screaming on their fellow countrymen. Spain out in firm control of this stand-up paddleboard race. And a big shakeup now is the rest of the train going through, and Lena Gaides from Canada and April Zill from Team USA now holding third and fourth positions. Look for those two to really start putting the goose to it to try to catch up to 1 and 2. But I'll tell you what, that train will slowly start to reel 1 and 2 back in, the Spaniards, but they have a lot of work to do. They're about 300 or 400 meters behind, so we'll see if they can make that up in the upcoming rounds. In the prone category, it is still Japan neck and neck right now, just battling it out side by side. So watch for them to really continue to push through. The closest next competitor is Team Italy. Cornelia Ragati currently sitting in that third position all by her lonesome, looking to get some kind of help from somebody behind her, but at this point, she's kind of all by herself. The story, though, was Jenny Kallenbach from Costa Rica, who came back on the circuit after coming out of retirement. Started in third position coming into the channel and has since fallen off into 7th. Back to you guys. There's your update.
Thanks a lot, Drew. Everything going really good at the bridge. You can see the flags. There's a Brazilian flag, there's an Argentinian flag up there, and they're cheering on all the paddlers that are coming through, whether prone or stand-up. Okay, now they're rounding the buoy. So that's our stand-up and prone. So pretty much the women have merged together here of our top leaders. And remember, the prone women started 10 minutes ahead of the stand-up women. And now it looks like Esperanza and Duna are now trying to overtake our prone paddlers.
Yeah, well, it's never fun to be lapped, but they are really, really strong competitors, and they've been driving out basically in their own race out there. And just as we were saying, I can't wait to see when they really turn it on and become competitors instead of teammates.
Well, right now, they know where the finish line is. They have to go out into the mouth of the entry out to the beach side. They'll turn on one orange can to the left. It'll be a left-hand turn. And they were thinking about putting a buoy at Fiji Rock for the finish line. And they told them in the briefing, just round Fiji Rock. You can go anywhere you want. You want to go to the shallows? You can go to the shallows. You want to try to catch a wave? Go catch a wave.
Okay, so speaking of catching a wave, I've actually seen a couple waves breaking off that Fiji Rock, so that could actually add some action that last stretch to the beach. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, Esperanza's in the lead, doing this behind her. We can see the prone paddlers, Judith and Eureka, side by side. They've been side by side since the start of this race.
It's so cool to see first and second just that much. I mean, it really divides the level and the strength of the competitors when you see how far away they are from the rest of the pack.
Now passing the orange can at the start-finish line. That's Cornelia from Italy in third place. All right, Esperanza has now passed the buoy. Duna has passed the buoy. Looks like
Eureka might be out front.
Eureka's on the left. And Judith's on the right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So they're still side by
About
side.
a half board length.
And they both have that same identical bark boards. Look at that. They're looking back at Cornelia.
So wide enough turn in these long distance races that there's no question of priority around the buoys, right?
No.
Okay.
But they
just throwing it out because that's the first time I've heard that in the technical about having the half board length. All right, cool. I knew they were going to come through here. This is one of my favorite spots. So on the opposite side of this bridge, people actually jump off into the water. It's about a 7-foot drop, and it's beautiful.
Well, that's where my Uber driver dropped me off to meet you.
And told you not to come to my dangerous beach.
Yes.
With 2-foot shore break. That was epic. All right, so we are starting to... Look at this. This is nice and calm. This has got to be picture-perfect conditions for them. They got to be really happy that there's not too much wind coming out of any direction. So that really... I mean, it doesn't burn you out in one stretch of the course and then make it easy on the other. It's just kind of nice and even keel through the whole thing, it seems like.
Yeah, hour 40 for our prone paddlers. We're coming up on an hour 30, hour and a half for our stand-up paddlers.
So this is that previous pass through the bridge before the collapsed bridge, and we have another pack starting to come through there. So this is the bridge that goes over to Condado Beach from where we're at over in the convention center area. And so that's the quickest run across there. I walked across there all the way from our hotel, 45 minutes, including across the main highway, not knowing that the stoplight doesn't change for the pedestrians.
Okay, right here on screen, you can see our leaders on the bottom of the screen. On the top of the screen, that's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Led by Lena Agaitis, Jenny Kombach, April Zilg, and also Melanie Lafontaine. So they're working together. There's our Italian paddler. She's currently in 3rd place, Cornelia. She's having a really good race.
Look at her, just chin pressed against that thing.
Yeah, she has an actual pad right there that she can rest her chin on. You can see her face bright red, so the heat is getting to her.
In surfing, have you ever used your chin against your nose to take off?
Chin against your nose to take off? No.
I haven't either, but there are some surfers. And a buddy of mine, the owner of XTR, Javier from Peru, he's a Masters champ. He uses a pad on the nose, and it actually helps to press that nose down, and you get that forward weight with your head. And so that's actually going to speed the board up. It'll also tilt that nose rocker down and make it a more aggressive glide.
Okay, Melody now in 3rd place. We can see April Zilg still in 4th place. And we've got, let's see, Lena Agaitis. She's on the far left-hand side. And Jen Kombach now currently in 5th. So there's 3, Melanie. 4, copper medal, April. Jen will be 5th. There's April on the 404 board, NSP for Jen Kombach. And 6th place right there, Lena Agaitis. Last time we saw this group, Lena was actually leading this train. So she's fallen back on the train, letting the other girls pull them by.
And even on a cloudy day, look at the color of the water here. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Beautiful location. I think this course that they've set out for the 18-kilometer distance race is spot on. It would have been exciting if there was, a big swell, adding a little bit of drama for coming back in, but because we're going to see a sprint to the finish for both the prone women and for the sup women as they come across the finish line, because the pack of twos here, they've been together the whole 18K.
Yes. Well, you know what? As you're speaking of the course, I mean, I was with you guys I was with the ISA for the Hainan Sup World Championship and then El Salvador. This is by far the most stimulating and most exciting course that I've seen. There's just such a variety of things to look at. It's just like it's like a tour of Puerto Rico by sea.
Well, they had set up the course to have some downwind runs, some into the wind runs, but today, race day, calm, light, variable southerly winds.
And that's the magic of the ISA. I mean, we weren't expecting swell for our sup surfing yesterday. We had well overhead sets for our finals. And you know what? It's the good vibes of everyone just calling it out and bringing that energy into the competition. And this is that bridge. It's about the 3rd pylon to the right from that jetty that people pop off. And it's about 8 feet deep, and it's about a 10-foot drop. Hopefully no jumping onto suppers off of the bridge.
Yeah, you can see the flags and some of the teammates cheering on their competitor. This is our lead group, our Spanish group of Esperanza and Duna. They'll be coming underneath this bridge and out to the ocean. They're hugging onto that right-hand side.
This is a beautiful stretch. So one thing, those country flags up on the bridges. If we only have one solar competitor, we can also use that as a marker of which country's coming through. If we can't see the numbers.
But Team Spain leading in both of the women's races right now.
Well,
that's going to be valuable points for the overall team tally.
Team Spain's always been a very, very tough team to beat. I mean, they've got a lot of top competitors in there, but Esperanza is definitely one of their MVPs, I would have to say.
Okay, 1 hour 45 minutes in for the prone heat, 1 hour 34 minutes in for the stand-up heat. Now we're starting to see some wave action as we're getting on to the north side.
Yeah, there's a little shallow reef. Once they get past these rocks, I saw some people surfing outside of there in the early days, and so they may have some surf to make it through. Not sure what the tides are doing right now, but there is a lot of push through this section right here. So they hopefully don't have to battle any whitewash. There's a chance, though. You're seeing it. There's a kind of like a shallow shelf that they'll be going over. You see this dark spot they're about to reach? That's where the waves break at low tide. And it looks like it's a little too high tide to break, but it's wanting to. Yeah. So as we see some of our later heats through the day with the change of tide, they may be battling waves to try and get through here, and that could toss someone off a board and move them out of position very easily.
Yeah, Esperanza in the lead, but not by much. Duna's going to side draft her if she can, because if Esperanza can take a break, she's going for back-to-back gold medals.
Yeah, and at that point, I'm sure, I mean, she's still hungry. And there's one thing about surfing for your team, but you're also surfing for yourself for a certain percentage.
Well, Ben, we're going to send you down to the beach because you're going to have to get these interviews for our women in the prone and in the subdivisions. You can see the camera panning around.
And in Spanish, con mucho gusto. I'd be super glad to.
Thank you, Ben. And here's our top prone paddlers coming through here. That's Judith Vargas from Spain and Eureka from Team Japan. And they're approaching almost 2 hours, 1:46, and they're still side by side. Bring back Shannon Hughes. Shannon, you got a chance to go outside. What's the temperature? What's the winds like out there?
Yeah, you know, the wind is definitely kicking up. You can see the texture now as they're starting to enter back into the ocean coming out of the canal. It was great to see how glassy it was as they were passing through the canal, but now they're back out towards that North Atlantic Ocean, and that wind is definitely starting to kick up. It's not crazy strong yet or anything, and the temperature is actually pretty nice. That cloud cover kind of keeps coming and going, so it's not that full baking intense sun that we get, sometimes when those clouds go away. But there's definitely some conditions now, and it's going to be pretty different than the first time that they pass through this outside buoy as they're coming around the section. And it's been fun to see these two packs for the leading groups for both SUP surfing and for prone surfing, or prone paddling, taking their positions as they get ready to head out around that first buoy and make their way back towards Fiji Rock.
Yeah, there'll be a left-hand turn, and they were going to put a buoy on Fiji Rock, but Anthony Vela said, you know what, just have them go wherever they want to go. They got to go around the island anyway. Let's not force them to go someplace they didn't want to go. So there's third and fourth right now. You can see Melanie in third place. And with that SIC board, that's Lena Agaitis. So she has moved up into fourth place. Jenny Kombach, the veteran, coming out of retirement, representing Costa Rica in fifth place. And April Zilg might be behind Jen.
So we've got a tight race for those bronze and copper medals, but gold and silver are pretty much sealed up with our front two paddlers.
Yeah. Spain's going to take first and second. Spain could walk away with, or paddle away with, 2 gold medals in the women's prone and in the women's SUP. Here we go. Now the beachgoers can see our leaders coming around. Esperanza is in first. Duna is in second. And
nice.
They are 1 hour, 38 minutes into their paddle.
Incredible. They've done such an incredible job. They've kept that pace the entire time. Imagine over an hour and a half of steady paddling, of even trading positions between that lead position and that second position to give each other that opportunity to trail behind and catch the draft. And now rounding this buoy, you'd have to imagine that pretty soon They're going to head into that more sprint attack mode as they really want to be fighting in an individual space for that gold medal.
All right, they're side by side right now. They were teammates in the race, but once they pass Fiji Rock Island, it's going to be all for the gold medal. How will they attack? Will they catch a wave? Will they have to sprint up on the beach? Will they be shoulder to shoulder? They do not have to carry their board across the finish line, but they do need to finish with their paddle in hand.
Now, this is a significantly larger set than when the paddlers were first starting the race and coming around this section. It was a lot just quieter, a lot more flat. And so as that storm is continuing to brew off the coastline and we're expecting those rains to come through sometime this afternoon, more of that swell is starting to hit. And it's going to be interesting to see during the men's race how much of that comes into play. And for the women, if they're able to actually catch waves to give them that little boost as they're heading towards the finish line.
All righty, Gen Combat, there's Lina Agaitis and being led by Melanie. Melanie from France in the third place spot.
Nice, strong paddling. And it's been really impressive performances from everybody. And in the SUP paddling side of things, they've got that distance ahead of our prone paddlers now. It was exciting to see them overtake in the lagoon around the buoys. And Esperanza looking to go back-to-back for gold medals, Bo.
Oh, this is really exciting, a really breakout day for her. Esperanza also medaled in the women's tech earlier this week with a silver medal behind Candace Appleby.
Incredible. And we remember back to the 2019 season back in El Salvador for the World Championships for the ISA, that it was Esperanza who led the entire group of paddlers off course by missing a buoy. So many of the SUP paddlers followed her. All of the prone paddlers followed her as well, and they missed that buoy. Now Esperanza and the rest of those paddlers had to do an extra lap on the course. Esperanza, in doing that extra lap, overtook the paddlers who were on the correct course that were farther behind, and still won the gold medal by doing an extra lap over those in last place who didn't need to do that extra lap, and walked away the gold medalist, which was absolutely amazing.
All right, here on screen you can see our Spaniard and our Japanese paddler leading in the women's prone race. They're approaching 2 hours, Shannon, 1 hour, 52 minutes on their time. You can see Judith, she was on her knees, she went back to prone. There's that train of 4 for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth in the women's SUP.
Yeah, they're coming in close behind. And for those prone paddlers, it's been really exciting to see Eureka and to see Judith so close together. Anthony Vela has been out on the boats, directing things throughout this week. And he has been so excited to see those two neck and neck throughout this entire race. It's not common that we'll see those two front runners like this in the paddleboard side of things actually staying that close through the entire time. So it's been wild to be able to witness them both keeping pace together and now wanting to get those front positions. They've both been in this conversation on the prone racing side for a long time, but they're both looking to take home their very first gold medals. So it's going to be a huge moment for the sport to see a brand new champion crowned on the women's side for prone distance racing, where on the women's side for SUP distance racing, we could be seeing Esperanza go back-to-back with the second title.
Don't count out Duna. She's right there. Now the surf is going to play a factor. They just went over a bump. They've got to round this island. Fiji Rock.
Yeah, they're coming up to it now, and this is where things are going to get really intense. You can see Esperanza's got a little bit more of a lead. There's a little bit of a gap now between the tail of her board and the nose of Duna's board.
And those thighs are burning right now. That core is coming into play right now. All that training and preparation, all will come down to a sprint in a distance race.
Yeah, this is wild. I mean, it's everything that we would have been expecting and hoping for. You can see now the texture of the ocean as well out the back is a lot. It's not choppy by any means, but there's a lot more texture to it than what we saw at the beginning of this race. So in that hour and a half, the wind has kicked up. It's going to play a major part for the paddlers at the end of the race as well. Those that are trailing farther behind that still have maybe another half an hour or so to go before they'll complete or even up to an hour before they'll be able to complete. They're going to have that wind kicking up stronger and stronger as we see our two paddlers still pretty close to each other, but we've got one now gaining on the other.
Yeah, that's Eureka, and here comes Judith. She's, you're not going to get ahead of me. I'm going to stick to you like glue. And here they go. They're still side by side, identical Joe Bark boards there on the 12-foot boards. They're coming in, and you can see the cadence. They're really starting to pick it up. They've been side drafting each other all day long here in the race, and they're coming up on the 2-hour mark. 1:55 for the prone time. Here we go, around Fiji Rock Island. Now, taking it away, this is going to be Esperanza. She's got about a board, maybe 2 board lengths in. She's trying to catch that side wave. And Duna, a little bit off balance.
And Esperanza with the lead. She's now gaining more and more distance in front of Duna. And now you can see them go into that sprint paddle. It's no longer that long kind of, distance paddle, but they're really going quickly here to get themselves that momentum and praying. I'm sure that they are praying for those sets to roll through to give them that extra bump and that momentum as they come towards the finish line.
A 3, maybe 4 board lead. Esperanza looking for any runners, any bumps, any waves. Here comes a little bump right now. Duna can catch her up if she can get on this bump, and you can tell she's fatigued in the waves.
But she's on the bump. She is gaining so much distance that she might almost hit Esperanza in front of her. Now Esperanza's going to try and get into the same wave. But what just went from distance for Esperanza, Duna's now side by side with her and looking to try to pass if she's able to. Esperanza now goes sideways and Duna takes the lead. This is incredible for the 19-year-old. Now in front and just completely different than what we thought was happening 10 seconds ago. But Esperanza with an opportunity.
Esperanza's catching a wave too. So these little bump runners playing a factor.
And Duna, I think she's in the zone right now. She worked out that little bobble as she was coming around Fiji Rock. She almost got caught off guard, but then she lucked into that little bump, and it set herself up with that board's length ahead of Esperanza, our previous gold medalist. Esperanza now sprint paddling straight up behind her. It's going to take a lot, though, for Esperanza to actually sneak around the side and get the lead, and Duna putting everything she can into it to walk away possibly a gold medalist right now.
All right, it's going to be a sprint up the beach. We're moments away, 1:46.33 and counting. Duna in first, Esperanza in second. Spain will take gold and silver. Who is going to be first? Right now, Duna's got about a board length, and she's closer to the shore. Here comes Esperanza. Taking off the leash. She's ready to dismount.
And
make sure it's clean.
Duna with the lead. Now can she have the clean exit? And with the sprint, it's going to be Duna Gordillo, your gold medalist.
Unofficial time, 1 hour and 47 minutes.
Esperanza Barreras with the silver medal for Team Spain with just seconds dividing them. Incredible race, and what a way to finish. Duna had the lead in the early days. She had that front running position, and alongside of her teammate, kept that momentum moving forward now as she's just catching her breath and cooling down.
She's overheated, and you can tell, even though this wasn't in the heat of the day, it was overcast, she just realized she's a world champion right now.
She is your 2022 Women's SUP Distance gold medalist, Duna Gordillo of Spain. An incredible race that she put together, head down, so strong, and to come around that final lap, to be behind on the approach to Fiji Rock, and then to have that almost stumble where she nearly fell off at the finish, and then to catch a wave to come through. And now taking a look at the women for our prone distance race coming through, it is Eureka in the lead.
Yeah, Eureka has broken away from Judith, but Judith can catch her if she catches this bump, but Eureka is now going to try everything she can. Both women are on their knees in the sprint position, just as we saw in the SUP race. It was a two-woman show in the stand-up. It's a two-woman show here in the sprint. And we see Melanie on the backside. Can Judith get the wave? She's on it. It's going to be a sprint. They're going to be side by side, and she wipes out.
And Judith goes down. Wave now approaching Eureka. If she can hold it together here, she is on her way to a gold medal with ease for the finish. And we've got our bronze and copper medalists for the SUP distance racing, rounding Fiji as we see Eureka Horibe holding on to the lead. The 30-year-old from Kanagawa, Japan. And in an unfortunate slip, it is our surfer Judith Verhas who goes down on that last wave and loses the momentum to catch up to gold.
And Melanie has just caught a wave for the bronze medal victory for Team France. And here we go. Eureka stroking, sprinting on her knees. She can see the finish line. Japan going for their second gold medal of the ISA Worlds here in Puerto Rico.
And it will be a very first new gold medal for our Japanese competitor to walk away with the paddle distance race win. And on the women's side, it has been Australia that dominated for a decade. Then South Africa came away with the win at last year's race, or the last time we ran back in 2019. Australia not present, South Africa not present this year, has opened up the door for our 30-year-old from Japan, Eureka Horibe, with so many strong accolades to her name in the paddle racing world. Now proudly finishing a flawless race as she races up with the Japanese flag to cross the finish line. It is your gold medalist, Eureka Horibe.
Unofficial time, 2 hours, 1 minute, and let's say 10 seconds. Unbelievable. Second gold medal for Team Japan, and Eureka is now a world champion at the ISA Worlds.
Unbelievable there with family, with friends on the beach.
And congratulations to Judith Vargas from Spain in second place.
Oh,
These two women were battling it out all 18 Ks.
that was unbelievable for Team Spain to put 3 paddlers through on the 2 disciplines in those first positions, first and second on the other.
So 2 silver medals and a gold for Team Spain.
So strong, and for Judith, an incredible run throughout for Team Spain in the paddleboard right alongside of Eureka. She went down on that final wave.
This battle is for 4th place, and it looks like Lena Agaitis, the gold medal winner from 2014, will be coming up in 4th place for the women. Jenny Kombach in 5th place. April Zilg, she looks like she'll take 6th place. And Lena has medaled yet again.
What a race, and that pack was tied together. It was going to be very tough going to finish in that 3rd and 4th place position because 5th and 6th place were so close behind.
Here comes April. She was the sprint winner, gold medal winner at the beginning of the event on day 1. And she's doing the distance along with the technical. And she is exhausted. She's in pain. Look at her. She can barely run up on the beach. She's cramping up.
What a day, what a race. Incredible conditions. And we have seen Spain dominate Japan with a gold medal. And those paddlers that we would expect that have had some amazing runs through their careers have ended up on top yet again.
Yeah, an exciting day in the stand-up world, in the prone paddleboarding world, as Puerto Rico hosting the ISA World Championships for the first time. And there's your new gold medalist, Duna. Benway's down there. We'll try to get some interviews for both of our winners.
Duna Gordillo, a 19-year-old. And she's been stand-up paddling for 10 years, training with the same club. That home club will be so proud of her, as is the rest of Spain. And we now have Benway on the beach with Duna Gordillo.
Here we are, world champion for the long distance. Duna Gordillo for Team Spain. Felicidades, tía.
Gracias.
Bueno, estaban muy pegados Esperanza y tú, y estaban pegadas como un tren casi 95% de la carrera, y tú estabas atrás. Y estabas guardando cargando las pilas, teniendo un plan de una que puedes guardar energías y al final darle duro. ¿Qué estaban pensando entrando el torneo?
Pues mira, durante toda la carrera, Espe y yo hemos trabajado juntas. Sí que es verdad que algunos tramos ella ha tirado más, luego a lo mejor me he puesto yo delante. Y la verdad que estoy súper contenta y súper agradecida por haber hecho este trabajo junto a mi compañera de equipo. Estoy súper contenta por ella y la verdad que llegar aquí ha sido, no me lo creo todavía, y estoy súper contenta y orgullosa también por mi compañera de equipo que ha quedado segunda.
Hablas muy rápida. So we are going to get back to what I asked her. So I said, so I had asked Duna, her and Esperanza were stuck together like a train for 98% of the race. And I asked her, going into the race, did you have the plan of sticking together, helping each other charge up batteries? She said that's exactly what they were going for. And she's super stoked to be here. She had a great time, and she's really happy to have everyone from her team doing well. And ahora, ¿cómo te parece ese joya en el Caribe, la primera vez para venir a Puerto Rico?
Estoy, la verdad, impresionada. Nunca esperé que podría haber llegado hasta aquí, hasta Puerto Rico, un lugar tan bonito y con una organización increíble. La verdad que estoy súper contenta y me siento afortunada de poder estar aquí y poder dar lo mejor de mí y todo lo que he entrenado durante todo el año.
So I was asking her if it was her first time. She said she'd never imagined she'd be able to come all the way here to Puerto Rico. She's had an amazing vacation. She called it a vacation, not a competition. And she's super happy and thankful for all the trainers, all the coaches. Y al final, una palabra para los amigos en España. ¿De cuál parte vienes?
De Mallorca, de Palma de Mallorca. Quiero agradecer a todo mi equipo, tanto el Team España como Mardalear Subcenter, que es mi club desde hace 10 años. Gracias a mi entrenador, Manuel Simonselli, y a Laura Ketlas, que me anima aunque no está aquí. Y nada, sobre todo a toda mi familia también, que me sigue carrera tras carrera y me van animando poco a poco.
¿Y qué tal? Un mensaje para la gente local de Puerto Rico que nos han prestado ese lugar precioso. Fue la carrera el lugar mejor del mundo para mí. Un mensaje para ellos.
Pues bueno, como he dicho antes, estoy impresionada. Este lugar es increíble, tanto el lugar como las personas. Me ha sorprendido y lo veo gente súper feliz y súper animada y la verdad que a mí también me anima eso y ya está.
So I asked her also for a message for the local people here in Puerto Rico. They've given us this beautiful venue. She said, like she said before, she's completely impressed, and she loves to see all of these people charged up with super great vibes, and that gives her a lot of energy as well. Muchísimas gracias y muchas felicidades.
Gracias a ti.
Thank you so much, Duna and Ben. Amazing to be able to hear from the new gold medalist, 19 years old, and put together an incredible performance. She's worked so hard for so many years to get to this place.
Yeah, and it was an exciting race. It was a long race, but it was so cool that teammates worked together to achieve a gold and a silver, and also for a second silver in the women's pro.
Now we're still waiting for our next paddlers to come through for the finishes.
This may be Liz Hunter from Team USA. She was in fourth place earlier in this round. We're trying to make it out as we see number 109 coming across the line.
And it was first and second went to Japan and to Spain for the women's prone. Third went to Italy for Cornelia Rigiati.
Yeah, Stephanie Schindler coming in for 8th place here. You see more prone and also more stand-up. Women finishing up their marathon 18.
And you can see those waves rolling through. And for each of them, if there is some distance and they don't have a paddler close by, it's a little bit more of a strong finish. But if they do have another paddler close by, then they'll be in that full sprint mode. They'll be hoping for those waves to roll through. And as well as keeping track of times, we'll have those time announcements, and they'll be able to see how fast they were able to compete in and to compare themselves to the rest of the field to see where to work towards for next year and to track with the race times that they've had in previous years.
Yeah, beautiful Joe Bark board there coming in. You see double cans right there, water hydration onto the board. There she is. Also another competitor in the stand-up division finishing at the same time. The prone started 10 minutes earlier. We're already in 2 hours, 9 minutes into the prone race and coming up on the 2-hour mark, 1:58. That's Liz Hunter. And Liz will take 4th place and a copper medal.
And our medalists for the women's prone distance division are complete. With another paddler finishing for the stand-up side.